And welcome to the Press Start podcast, Press Start Australia's weekly video game discussion podcast, brought to you today by SteelSeries and their new range of Alias microphones. Their mics made for gamers, and a big shout out to SteelSeries for continuing to support the show. I'm your host, Ewan, joined today by my fellow gamers and co-hosts, Shannon.
Hello.
Brody.
Hello.
Kieran.
Hello.
And James.
Hello.
On the show today, we're going to be talking about the rumor mill already abuzz around Kojima's newly announced OD game, the day before developer shutting its doors days after launching the game, and how we fared in our predictions this year. The end of the year is very nearly upon us, so it's a good time to look back, way back to January, what we thought was going to happen this year, and I'm sure didn't happen this year, but Brody's going to tell us how we fared later on the show. But first, the Game Awards happened last week. We did an impromptu bonus episode in the hours afterwards. But Brody, we didn't get to have you on the show at that point in time. So I'm curious, what did you make of the show yourself? What announcements excited you?
Yeah, I thought the show was pretty good. Obviously, there's been a lot of dialogue in the days since regarding, whether the right time was given to certain things and all that.
Yeah.
But putting that aside, I think it was fairly solid for announcements. I think there was a little bit that spoke to everyone. There was something for everybody, is what I should say. Ones that stood out to me, obviously, OD looks really cool, very interesting. There's nothing like a Kojima mystery to unravel, so that'll be fun over the next couple of years. No Rest for the Wicked was one that jumped out for me, the new one from Moon Studios.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different to Ori, so hopefully it can still be just as good. And there was another one that did jump out. Oh, Hellblade 2. Obviously, I'm pretty excited for Hellblade 2 in general. So that looked pretty good as well. Very nice fidelity on that.
I think you've called out a couple there that we didn't touch on, which probably proves your point that there was kind of something for everyone in amongst the announcements, which, yeah, I know we kind of leveled complaints at like it not really having much punch towards the tail end. But if you were super excited about Monster Hunter Wilds, then that probably was the highlight for the show for you. It kind of was something for everyone. Shannon, I guess kind of having sat on it since, when was it, Friday last week, so you've had the weekend to kind of mull it over somewhat. How is it sitting with you? Brody kind of made the point there that there's been a lot of complaints about the time developers were afforded, for instance.
It's like an unwinnable situation. Like, I'm seeing a lot of insane claims about like cancel the Game Awards and things like that. I don't think it's that drastic. I think like Jeff would know that like it obviously was skewed in the wrong direction. But yeah, I still think that a lot of people like outside of our circle and like people covering the news 24/7 like really do just want the game reveals, and I don't know what the solution is for that. But yeah, I don't know. It just felt weird. It felt like the extreme opposite of last year, which I think it was probably done to like avoid a Chris Judge situation again. And then obviously it's been too extreme and probably needed a little bit more touch and go and adjusting as the show went on before we got to the end.
Yeah, I think I heard somewhere that apparently kind of Jeff Keighley was trying to give the kind of people running the show in the night kind of notes about not cutting people off too early, but clearly there's only so much you can do kind of on the night.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of hope they're afforded a little bit more time in the future. Given it's already like a 3-hour plus thing, you'd have thought they could get more than the 15 minutes total, I think all developers kind of had throughout the conference.
It almost needs like...
I mean, conference is the wrong word, but I guess it feels apt in this situation.
It needs like I think it needs like half the show dedicated to awards, and then it just needs to get onto the reveals or something, or like a few big reveals throughout the awards. I don't know. Then you're gonna have nobody tuning into the awards part, or like
they might need to do what they do with like the primetime Emmys or something like that, and just have like a bigger pre-show that rattles off some of the not lesser awards, but like I guess the ones that aren't quite so big. Like I don't know. There's got to be some sort of middle ground for it. Yeah. But like I think. There seems to be, I guess, a preconception, or probably rightly so, that obviously Keighley has quite a good relationship with some Hollywood folks. And, like, when you're trotting out Timothée Chalamet, you're trotting out Jordan Peele, you're trotting... Like, it doesn't look good when they're getting, 7 to 8 minutes per person, and then you're cutting off, like, the guy who voiced Asterion for some reason when he's, like, making, some really great points and stuff like that. It's,
There's an element of that in every award show where like the Oscars will have like a 10-minute stupid segment, and then I don't know what movie.
I don't know if it's like
it's
this
not
though.
It's not as bad, but like
I feel like the Anthony Mackie stuff was like awful. Just trying to like create his Keanu moment, but it was not. All to announce season 2 of Twisted Metal. Like, I'm sure that was a paid spot, but still.
Yeah.
And then the Kojima thing and the Muppet thing. They're the 3 big ones that I think, like, you know, could we shave a minute off this and give it to the people who win Game of the Year? You know.
Yeah.
I do think the ad stuff was like slightly less egregious than it has been in past years. Like I remember, like a couple years ago, there was that weird Pokemon car, and I was like, why are we here?
The Gillette man.
Yeah. So I think it's
Sick Hydro man.
Yeah,
it's trending in the right direction. It's just, there's still a balance to be struck.
Yeah, I think like none of it happens without the sponsorship, right? And they need like people, you know, could go and watch the Golden Joystick Awards or the DICE Awards or you know any number of other awards, but they do watch the Game Awards because of the announcements, and so I kind of get the balance of it, and even like having some of the presenters there. Like I must admit, I'm kind of curious to see what Timothy Chalamet does, like getting up to present Game of the Year. Like, does he know what the hell's going on? I don't know. But I reckon as
he's a
the
gamer
industry, he is true. And I do like they actually mentioned his YouTube channel as well, I think, actually, in welcoming to the stage.
I think he needs the plug,
Yeah.
He's struggling.
But yeah, I think like as the industry matures over time, like we'll kind of get to a point where, you know, like Todd Howard coming out to give someone an award is a big deal, or Shuhei Yoshida, or like Dinga Bakwa, like all of these kind of characters within the industry that we're kind of getting more familiar with now because of moments like this. Hopefully in future, like they're the ones coming out and presenting the awards. But yeah, I guess we will have to see, as we so often do here on the Press Start podcast. We can't see the future. That's not how this works. But we sure can speculate about Kojima and what the hell he might be up to with OD, because the rumors are already swirling around his new game. Eagle-eyed fans of the fabled creator have spotted what they believe to be references to the Silent Hill franchise tucked away in the trailer for the game, or the cross-media project, I guess is a better way to describe it, with Jordan Peele being a key collaborator. One of many, supposedly, but still a lot we don't know about this game. Kieran, I'm going to come to you first here, because I need a bit of an explanation as to what people think they have seen in the trailer, what they're sort of piecing together. How would you describe the theory so far?
I don't know if I've seen too many like actual theories or like speculation about what any of it means, but Kojima did like put in some hidden letters throughout the trailer, and people have kind of puzzled those out to, I guess, figure out that the Japanese kanji alternative to those letters spells out Silent Hill, which is, I guess, pretty blatant. But I don't think, in my opinion, I feel like it's just Kojima being Kojima, and just like being like, well, I'm putting together these trailers, I'm producing them, I know people are gonna be looking inside everyone's mouths for some reason during this trailer and finding these letters hidden in there, so like why not? Whether or not it actually means anything,
an Easter egg then, do you think, rather than the hint to what the game is?
That would be my, like, I would say it's more of an Easter egg, more of just of a Kojima-ism than anything else. Especially considering Konami's got their own stuff going on with Silent Hill. But it's cute. Yeah. I thought it was a cool little reference. Or
it does seem hard to believe that he's wrestled back like any control of the Silent Hill sort of property after the rather unceremonious parting of ways with Konami. So I can't believe we still don't know the reason for that. That comes to me every day. It's like, I wonder what happened.
Every day.
It's like my Roman Empire. Like, what happened with
what
that?
Ewan wakes up in a cold sweat every morning. Like.
It could also just be him referencing, obviously that PT project and obviously what ultimately fell apart, and him saying, I can't make that horror game on my terms, but I can make this one on my terms. Obviously, without knowing what this one is going to eventually be. But he could be saying that this is basically going to be spiritually what PT could have been, or, Silent Hills.
And I think the door is like a very deliberate nod to that, right? Like this.
Yeah, it's very similar. with the light above it.
I mean,
and
I
stuff
guess
like that.
a lot of there's a lot
It's
of
a door.
tail doors.
It's a door with a little light above it.
Doors.
So you know.
yeah. James, what's your take on all of this?
Yeah, I think it's great that people found this. I don't know if I think like people say it all the time with games that so much like the final game to get to a final game, you know, there's so much shit that's like created and is kind of discarded beforehand. So like it would not surprise me if Kojima's making a horror game that you know, the ideas that he had for Silent Hills would turn up in this for sure. But as we kind of learnt from the abandoned and blue box fiasco, people are also really keen to find patterns in things. Reminds me of like all the Taylor Swift fans that I see on Twitter. They could solve the Zodiac murder at this point, like with how, you know, how they look into this shit. But yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if that is the thing. And I know that there's obviously, I'm assuming there is still bad blood between Kojima and Konami. But yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know.
Did you deliberately embed a Taylor Swift reference?
No, I didn't. I didn't. No, that was actually not.
That's some
Kojima
I feel.
Yeah.
I feel like James is dropping us clues now. He knows more than he's letting on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the same game or anything. I think a lot of people are saying that it's basically going to be like that. I mean, yes, the door looks the same, but like. It's a door. Like I feel like a lot of doors look the same. I don't.
We also don't really know what that game was, right? Like in terms of like its fully fledged concept. So like, it could be.
PT. We don't know what that was.
Yeah,
I do
we
think
knew what the demo was, but not the actual game.
I think going back to the leaked footage with the weird topless guy in the screen before, like if you watch that again, yeah, like it's clear there's like some kind of weird streaming aspect to it. And I wonder if that's the leveraging of the cloud and that this game is meant to do. And even just the way it's said at the end, like for all players and screamers, like I feel like that is something. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
it looks like it's going to be like some weird interactive thing, which I think also they maybe don't want to talk about too much because Silent Hill Ascension is like so awful. But yeah.
Do you reckon there's any merit to the... I've seen some tinfoil theories about how like each of the actors in the trailer obviously all say the same thing, and it's like a phrase that apparently contains all possible phonetic sounds like in the English language, which people are saying could be like maybe you say that phrase at the start and then it imprints your voice and then it's going to be like some weird AI thing. Like that wouldn't surprise me. That seems like perfectly Kojima. I don't know how that necessarily works in terms of...
I think that's possible. And like mixing this with, this is obviously, I think it's Unreal Engine, which like obviously Kojima's other games are Fox Engine, and it's got is it the human? There's some.
Yeah, they're using MetaHuman, which is like, it can generate realistic humans on the fly. So there could be something to that, especially, yeah. And
there were rumors like when PT was cancelled and stuff that Kojima was going to play with some idea of like, you would get texts from the game. Like,
that's fucked up.
So, like, kind of really breaking the fourth wall. And he's always done that in, like, all the Metal Gear games. But this would be something next level that I would expect him to pull off. So, like, I could maybe see that happening. You know?
I might be stating, like, the most obvious thing ever. But it's, like, only just occurred to me the kind of significance of, like, OD as a title. And I know he was kind of deliberate in not saying like what the letters stood for, but obviously like PT kind of standing for playable teaser, like back in the day, kind of there was a hidden meaning to the name of itself.
Something demo, you reckon?
Maybe
ominous demo.
Yeah,
I think there's. I think in terms of what people are saying, like deconstructing everything in the trailer and stuff. I don't know if you guys saw, but Kojima tweeted something that said OD doesn't stand for these two things. And it was like two phrases that I don't think anyone ever thought it was. So I feel like there's actually a phrase, there's actually a hint in there. But yeah, it's interesting. Like I think he doesn't even call Death Stranding 2 Death Stranding 2. He's calling it like DS2. Like I feel like he's got some funky naming vibe going on at the moment. But yeah, it'll be good. I trust him. He's like ridiculous, but I'll trust him a lot.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see how this kind of evolves over time. I really hope it's not like stretched out, I suppose, and it's too agonizing a wait.
For clarity, he tweeted saying that OD does not stand for either oxygen destroyer or open the door. And it's like, who asked?
Like,
I don't think anyone was. Apparently, oxygen destroyer is a weapon from the Godzilla series. So there you go.
Yes.
Very mysterious.
Yeah. No, I had heard that.
Peak Kojima.
But wait, but we know it's overdose, right? Like that was the
Not
name.
officially.
Not
But
officially.
not
That's what the leak was, yeah.
Yeah, but that matches up with OD, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, but
People do call overdoses ODs, yes, well done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very astute.
It's why I feel uncomfortable describing it as Kojima's OD, and why in my show notes I've gone to Kojima's new game OD, just to make it very clear. Before we move on, though, let me tell you again about these new SteelSeries mics we're using. As you know, we're big fans of SteelSeries stuff, and these new Alias mics are fantastic for us gamers that like professional sounding audio quality without a complex setup. There's two mics in the range, the Alias, which I'm using, which has a USB-C connection, super easy to connect up and use, and then the Alias Pro that Shannon's got on display there, which connects via XLR to its own DAC with easy to access gain, volume, and mute control. A bit of a snassier package all up, but both mics use the 3 times larger capsule in comparison to other competitors, other similar mics out there, which paired with their Sonar AI noise cancelling software helps cancel out unwanted audio and has us coming across sounding nice and crisp. So thanks again to SteelSeries for supporting the show. Next piece of news I wanted to discuss, though, was the developers of the newly launched the day before, having announced that they're closing down days after launching the game in a what can only be described, I think it's fair to say, in a pretty dismal state. In a statement, the studio said that the game, quote, failed financially and they lacked the funds to continue, with all income received being used to pay off debts to partners. Shannon, I might come to you first on this one. How could this all go so wrong?
Well, how could it ever go right? I feel like we've known for years that this would probably be the outcome. I don't know a lot about the history of this game, to be honest. Like, I know some people have been following it intently. Like, I've watched the trailer early on and it looked cool, but I think it's been pretty clear for a solid year or 18 months that it probably wasn't what we expected.
Yeah, Kieran, can you give us like a bit of background on the game and I guess some of the controversy that the developers have been embroiled with in the past?
So many things. I feel like the first couple of years that they were promoting it, it seemed pretty like, I guess, above board. Maybe that they were overselling things a little bit, but like it looked like a decent game, and they had trailers that were, I guess, like looked in engine and gameplay-esque and stuff. And then kind of in the middle there, they had some weirdness with how they were describing their workplace culture, which was basically that they were using like volunteers, like a mix of paid and unpaid volunteers to make their game.
Yeah, quote unquote unpaid.
Yeah, I think which was like when people started to like look at the studio and kind of wonder what was going on over there. And then, yeah, as Shannon said, the last 18 months to a year, they've, almost had to change the name because of trademark disputes. They've delayed it multiple times. They've had nothing to show. And then a month before release, they were like, you know what, we're not releasing it as a full game anymore. It's going to be early access and it's going to be finished almost a year from now. So the red flags just kind of kept piling up. And I think what's evident since it launched, I saw a lot of the Reddit communities who've been picking it apart and noticing that most of the assets in the actual game that they've put out are store-bought assets, which is fine in some circumstances, but like the entire map is a store-bought asset that allegedly was only purchased less than a year ago. So that stuff like that it just makes it seem like they've kind of been drumming up all this interest in, I guess, trying to gain capital somewhere or somehow, and then kind of gone, oh shit, we actually have to put something out and slap together what they have in the space of a year. Allegedly. I don't know, like, the ins and outs, obviously.
And as they put it, shit happens.
Shit
apparently.
happens. It's all very weird.
I mean, I guess, like, none of us are game developers, but I think, we can all sort of we all like appreciate that making a game is a tremendously hard thing to do. And I'm very conscious of that, but I feel like you kind of need to know when you set out, and especially when you start marketing a game, like your capabilities to then kind of deliver that vision. And maybe that's where you got to give credit to people like Hello Games. You know, they certainly went out there with some big lofty claims and didn't maybe meet them over time, but certainly did in the long run. Whereas in this kind of case, it looks like they just were way out of their depth. And rather than rectify the situation, just kind of dug themselves a deeper hole.
You look at like Cyberpunk, and that was probably not in as bad of a state, but a bad state compared to what was promised. And like they're renowned, like one of the best studios to exist, and it's taken them like 2 or 3 years to like get it to a state where it's playable. So like, and obviously I don't know anything about this company, but they probably just knew that they weren't going to have the funds to do that. I probably would have called their losses a bit earlier than like 2 days after it came out unplayable. But yeah, it happens to amazing studios as well. I'm
curious about the money side of things. Like, I don't know how much the game had kind of like how much pre-order money might have come in.
They weren't doing it. They weren't raising any
ages. Could you?
They weren't. There was nothing. Okay,
no.
So it was all just kind of capital up till then. Okay, and presumably like Steam would facilitate refunds for it as well, right? Yeah. What a mess.
Yeah. I can't imagine they're going to come out with any positive finance from this.
No.
Just imagine working on something for years and years and years, like assuming they have, and then you just...
I don't think they did, though.
Well, yeah.
I think that's
but what were they doing? Like, I don't really understand.
I don't know, like writing maybe ideas down on paper. And then...
just throwing it around, tossing around
I used
ideas.
to do that in like high school.
On the press
together. Watching the first trailer they put out and taking notes, like, oh, we could do this.
Because like everyone's giving them shit for like showing off trailers that wasn't the game, but like every studio does that. Like when we see these reveals or like early gameplay.
I think this is a bit different.
No, I'm not saying it's not different, but like every game starts as like an idea, and then it's a small snippet of gameplay, if that, and then it eventuates into a game, right? And this didn't. But like there's parts of it that aren't that dissimilar to how other games are developed. It's just that we see a finished product that works rather than this.
Yeah. Like, part of me admires the ambition of kind of going, like, this is the game we kind of want to build. We think it could be really cool. Clearly, they put the effort of making a slick trailer together that kind of touted that vision.
Someone they paid did.
Yeah, or someone they paid did, yeah. But if your team working on it day to day, like, can't deliver that vision, like, be it a lack of resources, a lack of ability, then it comes down to just like poor management. Like, you're just not project managing it correctly.
When do you reckon they lost belief? Like, do you reckon they believed right up until like 2 days ago, and then it came out and everyone was like, oh, this is shit, and they're like, dang it, I thought we had it. Like, it's just it's unfortunate.
I reckon when that announcement came about early access is when they were like, okay, fuck, like, we are out of cash. This game is not in a good state, but we just gotta get it out there and hope enough money rolls in from early access to kind of keep us going on this.
And again, I don't know a lot about it, but I think the game like was totally different to what was promised as the game, and like just in terms of style and genre. Yeah, like it was nothing.
MMO for one, like I feel like that's a pretty big pivot.
Yeah,
personally,
but I do hope Steam's like refund policy does allow the vast majority of people to get refunds.
Said that they will.
I think they're manually like processing them.
Oh,
because like, and the Steam page literally still said when it was out that it was a survival MMO when it wasn't. So I feel like people are pretty good like to stand on in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty obvious that none of us have played it. I was very much like, I don't know if like codes were even offered up for it. I can't imagine it was. But yeah, I was very much on the fence, like going, I liked what this game initially was, but obviously it's been abroad in a ton of controversy since, and I was like eager to see what people thought about it. But the first couple of TikToks I saw of it, it looked real shonky. James, what lessons, if any, do you think we can take away from this as an industry?
Well, I don't. Just
honesty is the best policy.
Yeah,
just
what
like-
will you take away personally to roll out
yeah,
in your life?
How will I change my behavior? I don't know. I
What
thought
do you
this was
want to
like-
see people take away from this, I guess?
I don't know. Just be honest and put out the game that you put the trailer out for.
If you don't have the chops, just tell us. If you can't make a game, if you're struggling,
just cancel it. Like, be like, look, they didn't even have pre-orders. That's my other thing I don't really get. It's like you didn't have any obligation to release it. And there's so much shit on Steam. That's the other thing I think maybe they thought they could get away with it because there is so much games like this. There is so many games like this where they just dump all this shit that they bought on the Unity store into a game, charge $8 for it or $2 on Switch, and then like people buy it for a meme or something, and that's it. But
like,
the problem is, I guess, all these promises were made beforehand.
That's right.
But I genuinely, I can't believe anyone thought this was like legit or real, like at any point. Honestly,
Yeah. And
Like,
plenty of people have been crying from the rafters for a while that it's all a scam.
But I don't.
And,
I don't really understand what their plan was though.
that's what I mean. It's like
just hope that they
fake it
nailed
till you
it.
make it. I guess.
I'm
like,
not
think
convinced
they
there was
thought,
anything like malicious in it, but I do think it is
I don't know,
just
man.
like
I'm pretty-
a
I think-
hubris gone wrong.
I don't know.
They've lost James.
They've I
Fanatic,
mean, I was
it's over.
a big fan
Oh,
before, but obviously, but now.
The silver lining might be that James doesn't have to worry about these developers anymore.
I don't even know who the developer is. If I'm being honest, and I
Fantastic.
don't want to.
without
I don't want
the
to
first
dignify
A.
them. But like, I don't know. I just wish. Yeah, I don't know. I hope everyone gets their money back, and I hope nobody feels ripped off.
Fantastic will
of the
just
day.
pop up as another studio. They'll pop
They
up under
are,
a different
apparently,
name.
like that's-
They'll
Is that
declare
what they call
bankruptcy.
Fantastic?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
far from it.
That's interesting.
Ironic, isn't it?
I am very curious to like the investors coming forward with the money for this game because presumably they had some investment, some capital sort of behind the scenes. Like how did
like
they
the
get
parents.
them across the line? Was it like, hey, look at the social their parents maybe, yeah. Check out the social traction now, fabricated trailer generated. Give us
It'd be
money.
interesting to watch like Google Trends. Like check out Google Trends for this game. Because I
This
remember at
game
one
was
point,
once the most wish-listed game on Steam. Like
Yeah.
that is.
I remember when they first showed
so
it, I thought
many developers
it
like aim
kind
to
of
get
looked like
to
an
bring in publishing money.
MMO Last of Us, and I thought this is right
Well,
up
that was the
Ewan's
promise, I think.
right up Ewan's
Yeah.
alley.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was.
This could have been this year's factions.
Maybe when Factions was
At least this came out.
This
Yeah.
this
well,
might be the
maybe this
closest
is
I
another-
ever get.
Yeah.
Well, sticking with studios closing down, although this one I don't know if the last one was fun, but it had a different slant to the conversation than this one will.
was less
have,
sympathetic.
I suppose. Less. Yeah, we're going to be much more sympathetic this time.
Presuming
around.
they're all scammers. Like there might be some innocent people mixed up in all this. So
Yeah.
the truth
On a
will come
much
out.
sadder note, Free Radical Design, the UK studio behind the Time Splitters franchise, that was re-established under Embracer Group's umbrella for the purpose of bringing the series back, has come to a bitter end, caught up in the restructure happening at the parent company. Brody, might start with you on this one. What was your reaction to hearing this news first and foremost?
Just Embracer sucks, man. Like they they are so like yeah, I don't know. All you can be is disappointed. Like granted, when you build your whole strategy around reviving AA franchises that sent companies bust for a reason, like it's questionable to begin with. But yeah, I don't know. Like to pull all these people back together and say, hey, you're back on Time Splitters, and then obviously their Saudi money sort of went south and they didn't get it. Now they're sort of scrambling to, make sure that they're still a thing next year. So obviously this is all just part of that, but it's just, I don't think this is the end of it. Obviously there'll be others that, get cut out of this, but it's just unfortunate. I was looking forward to another Time Splitters. So it's a shame.
It does kind of feel a little bit odd, like what they're deciding to continue on with. Although, mind you, I don't know if I could tell you right now what is continuing. It seems like we're
Tomb
hearing
Raider?
more and more about things that are shuttering. But Tomb Raider, okay, cool. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I sort of feel like there might have been more legs in Time Splitters than perhaps another SpongeBob game, assuming one's on the horizon.
I think
What
they're
about
gaming.
yourself?
Well, I was gonna say I think it's all built around Tomb Raider and like Lord of the Rings at the minute.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm confusing things. Yeah. Yes, another Golem game then, perhaps. That's sure to be a winner. What about yourself, James? Where do things go here for Embracer? Do you hope free radical design kind of reform in some other capacity, or
I don't know. I hope it's really. I did like what they were doing. I really liked the fact that you could play Red Faction or Saints Row on new consoles. I thought that was really awesome, and then I was excited for Time Splitters to kind of have that moment, because that is a game I still every now and then I would pull it out and we'd have fun with it, at events and stuff. So I think there's still a space for it, but I don't know. It's also hard, I guess, because shooters especially. But I feel I'm double guessing myself. But yes, I think they should make another one. It sucks. I'm so frustrated that 2 SpongeBob games have come out, but not even the Time Splitters remaster came out at any point from all of this. No offense, Ewan, because I know it's your favorite.
I was the one shooting shots at SpongeBob a second ago.
Yeah,
Don't even apologize.
I just why acquire them to then do this? That's
what frustrates me about all of this kind of stuff. Is I like the idea that they're acquiring them so that these licenses can keep living, but then they just acquire them, die, and then these licenses kind of just get stuck in limbo.
If they released the remaster and it didn't sell at all, you can somewhat understand them maybe canning a game or changing scope or whatever. But how can you know what's going to happen when you don't do anything?
I don't get it. It's really weird. But what can you do?
Yeah, I kind of do still feel like we're living this era of post-COVID sort of game investment where money just kind of seemed to pour in, and all of these different avenues of opportunity seem to open up. I think we as gamers kind of all got a bit excited, but I guess sales haven't lived up to the expectations that arose from that time, and maybe people are kind of just getting a bit spooked and pulling out investment. And it's obviously having a bit of ripple effect. But I really want to get to a point where this all ends. I'm over it.
I can't think of anything Embracer have had that would have set the world on fire in terms of sales. Saints Row, the SpongeBob games, Dead Island.
They've got Borderlands now, but I don't think there's been a new Borderlands for
even that. I feel it's had its day.
Well, the rumor is 2 of those now, remember?
2 new Borderlands.
Another Tiny Tina and
another Tiny Tina, of course,
Yeah.
There's definitely a fervor for Borderlands, but I don't know. I feel like games like Red Faction and even Time Splitters to a degree. Obviously, few of us here have a connection to that, and there is a cult following there. But I do wonder what the larger strategy is around marketing games like that, which historically I don't think have sold very well. So I just don't know what their angle is. I feel the juice isn't worth the squeeze at the minute for anything they're doing. So
and I guess it could well be a consequence of just cost of living being the way it is. Maybe people are kind of buying this is all just me guessing here, but maybe people are buying less games and kind of reverting back to just tentpole releases. They'll buy Call of Duty or FIFA once in a year and don't really sample anything else. Personally, I feel I've played more games this year than I have any other year in recent memory, purely because there were just so many good games coming out.
That's true.
But then, we're obviously afforded certain luxuries in the games department. So would I be going out and buying all those? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Grand Theft Auto 6 will come out. It'll make $2 billion in the opening weekend, and everyone's going to hey, video games will make money again, and all the investment comes back.
When Fortnite's dropping 3 games within a game for free, it's just, I don't know. For most people, I feel that's fine to keep them going for months now, without needing to buy anything else.
Literally.
So
but
tough.
In fairness, that's giving Harmonix and Psyonix work, right? That's
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I'm
just saying it's the reality of most people are happy with that, especially younger people. I think
without the income.
Yeah.
And parents love it.
Look, I'm really excited to talk about our next segment because Brody has gone back and listened to one of our earliest episodes of this year, I must guess, and maybe even the first episode of the year.
Still not convinced it happened.
One of them.
We'll find out.
Anyhow, in that episode, we made a ton of predictions as to what we thought 2023 was going to hold for us in gaming. It's a bit of a time capsule. We're opening it back up now and seeing how we fared. Brody, where do you want to start? This segment is entirely yours. Like, do you just want to go through?
I'll just go through as they came out in order. I think we took turns. Having predictions. So, look, a couple of people have done pretty well here. A couple of people have just, shooting bricks. They can't get anywhere near it. James has done quite well. Let's determine. So we'll go through. I started. I opened the account, and I predicted very safely, I think, that Starfield would launch in the second half of this year. Which, tick, one for me. James was then next, and he predicted that Forza Motorsport would be the only holiday game for Xbox. Now, October, would you consider Starfield holiday? I don't know. So, Shannon says yes. So we're going to say
in October. I think that's
no. It came out in September, didn't it?
No, Starfield was September. October was Forza.
Holidays have not started yet. People are still getting ready for Halloween.
September.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah. You know what? Tick for James.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ewan then, had a very bold prediction that the FTC would block the Activision acquisition for Microsoft.
Aren't they still trying?
They're still trying.
They are trying. At this point, it has got through, so we're going to call that pending. Pending.
Yeah.
Pending. Shannon then predicted that PlayStation would partner with a streaming service to, incorporate PlayStation Plus and all that sort of stuff into one big conglomerate, I suppose. And to my knowledge, that hasn't happened. So, going to call that
They launched... Yeah.
They launched their own.
They
That's
did
not the
launch
same
their
thing.
own.
You said they would collaborate. Ba-bow.
Maybe you're onto something with the Portal, though.
It started.
Look, it's probably the early steps. Predict it next year, maybe, and you might get somewhere. I then came back around. I said that PlayStation VR 2 would be home to the metaverse. Turns out it's home to fucking nothing. No one cares.
Can't even break out of the box into your home.
That is a brick. It took me 8 months to take it out of the box. So, no, I was miles away on that one. James then predicted that Grand Theft Auto 6 would be revealed this year. And he's nailed that. Accurate.
Wow.
Snuck in by the skin of his teeth in the last month.
Veritable Greg Miller amongst us.
Yeah, insider goss. Shannon then had an admirable guess, but didn't quite get there. He predicted that Hogwarts Legacy would be one of the top 5 reviewed games of the year. Obviously, it's been a phenomenal year. In any other year, Hogwarts might have done it, but in this case, it did not. Ewan, and I laughed him out of the room for this, but he said that The Last of Us would get an Emmy nomination, and I laughed, but shit, it got 24. It got 24 other things. And today
And
it also
some Golden Globes
three
today.
Three Golden Globe nominations, so good work to The Last of Us. I then predicted, I don't know where this is currently at, because I predicted that the Steam Deck would not be available at retail in Australia. Which, I don't know if that's still true, because, you can get it on Amazon and Kogan, but I think I said in store.
They're grey imports, though, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. What does?
It's true. I think
No,
that's a
isn't
win.
it? Aren't they grey imports? Like, when you predicted it, you could still get them here, right?
Well, that's right. I think I was talking strictly retail. So I'm gonna give myself that point. Thank you. James then predicted that there wouldn't be a Pokemon game in 2023, and knowing that he meant mainline, we're going to say that is correct, because obviously we had the famous Detective Pikachu Returns.
So famous that I forgot about it.
Ewan then came back around and predicted that Tears of the Kingdom would fall short of expectations, and I'm probably going to say that it's debatable, but I'd say no.
I reckon. Oh,
I don't think so.
Reviewed
phenomenally.
It literally got nominated for Game of the Year.
It reviewed very well, and I'm pretty sure it sold very well.
Yeah, so. But everyone thought it was gonna
did it fall short of your expectations?
All the Game of the Year nominations.
Yeah, but Ewan wanted it to be like a third-person over-the-shoulder shooter. So, but
can you? I do not want every game to be a third-person over-the-shoulder shooter.
I'm going to call that
just Pokemon.
That's ambiguous. It might have fallen short of your expectations, but I'd say, as an industry, I think it did quite well. And then Shannon closed it out.
No one talked about it after its opening week.
That's true of any game. No one cares 2 months after the fact. Shannon then closed it out by predicting that Ape Escape would feature prominently in a video game this year, and it's dead. Give up, Shannon.
That's how serious I was taking it, just in case there are any doubts.
Yeah, look, James did well. Ewan 1 for 3. I think I maybe got 1, 2, maybe. I don't know. But Shannon, very poor. And obviously Kieran didn't join us in that episode, clearly. So he did very well. Unblemished record. So
yeah, that's 100% performance right there.
Yeah, 100%. So those were our predictions. So I think we did okay.
Well, yeah, 2024 What year is it next year? 2024? Yeah, that's
the one.
right upon us. So we'll be having some predictions for that one very, very soon, I am sure. And looking forward to repeating this in like 12 months' time and seeing how we did. Oh, wait, no, I won't have second season of The Last of Us out next year. That's the year after.
You might have second season of Twisted Metal.
Yeah, maybe I make some predictions around that.
How many Emmys will that get?
Look, I do have a rapid fire question for you all. The new game Plus mode for Alan Wake 2 is out now. I platinumed it this past weekend. Very proud of myself for that. That's my 4th platinum this year, which I am not a platinum guy. I've got 9 in total, and I got 4 this year. So pretty pleased. Pat on my back. On my back for myself on that. But the new game Plus mode is out. I'm curious because I know there's a few Alan Wake fans amongst us. Who is playing through it again? Kieran?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know when, but for sure.
Yeah, I'm the same. I reckon I might give it a bit of time, but I want to see what the new ending is about. James?
I'm pretty good for now, but
Oh.
I might later. You never know.
Okay.
Life is mysterious.
Shannon, have you played through it once yet? Have you finished the game?
No, I'm making my way through it in the last week or so. Can I just see both endings at once when I get there? That would be incredible.
I kind of wish there was a way to do that, but I guess that defeats the purpose of
No, I don't think
Plus.
I will, to answer your question.
What about yourself, Brody?
Well, I played it for review, obviously, and I'm only sort of now getting through it on Xbox now. Like, I'm playing through it presently as well. So,
Yeah.
unless it, like, patches in automatically and I might get to see it in this playthrough, I will probably, either just YouTube it or wait until, a DLC comes out down the line, like Night Springs or something like that.
Yeah, that's why I need to give it a bit of time, because I had to go back and play through, like, the last kind of act of the game to get the final trophy. And so I kind of just feel like I've played through it a bunch at this point in time. I just need to give it some space. I've played like close to 40 hours of the game, and it's not like that long of a game, to give you some context.
No.
The bugs, I have to thank for that a bit as well, though. Anyhow, it is now time for What the Wiki, the Press Start podcast game show with the previous week's winner. It's part of a Wikipedia page for an unknown game, and we, the contestants, must guess the game. A point is awarded for each correct guess, and the round ends after a person bags themselves 2 points. A recap of the scoring: James is currently in first place on 35 points. Brody just behind on 34. Shannon is on 31. I'm on 28. Kieran's on 27. And Harry and James W. tied with a point apiece. So I guess this is maybe good a time as any to talk about this. This might be our second to last episode of the year. We probably do another one next week, then maybe have a couple of weeks off for Christmas and New Year and be back kind of with the new episode around the 10th of January, I would say. So yeah, it's just this one and one more round to play. So how does that mean? What does that mean? Brody could clinch first place, although he would then be subject to James getting points next week. That's maybe
my only hope
thing
probably
it shakes out.
My only hope's a clean sweep this week, I think, and then it makes it interesting. Otherwise, I think James is home.
Yeah. I could.
That's if I win at all.
If Shannon doesn't get any points, I could maybe get a podium finish. But yeah, it's all pretty tight.
I think if James scores today, it's over.
Yeah.
The king is back.
All right, let's see how we do. Game number 1. The aim of the game is to explore tunnels, gathering as much treasure as possible while avoiding traps and enemies. The playable character can whip or jump on enemies to defeat them, pick up items that... Brody.
Is this... What's it called? Temple Abyss?
It's not Total Abyss.
Temple Abyss, I said, but anyway.
Temple Abyss, sorry. Either way, not the game. Where was I? Pick up items that can be thrown to either attack enemies or set off traps, and use a limited supply of bombs and ropes to navigate the caves. Levels are randomly generated and grouped into 4 increasingly difficult areas, each with a distinctive set of items, enemies, terrain types, and special features. Later areas contain more valuable treasures, secret locations, and items. If the player loses all of their hearts and runs into an instant kill trap, they will have to start from the beginning. That is the end of the paragraph. Brody, do you have another guess? Yep.
I'll go Spelunky.
It is Spelunky. Well done, Brody. Moves up to 35, tied with James.
Just wanted to check.
Reading the live scoring.
I was trying to work out if it was 1 or 2. I'm really annoyed at myself. I should have just said it.
Should have just shot, yeah.
It's fine. But then I would have given it to Shannon.
Game number 2 comes thanks to
Would've been
Daniel Sutton, who messaged me on Instagram. He slid into my DMs, so to speak, and said, a game for What the Wiki. I can't read that. Let's see if James can get that. So, James, this is a specific challenge
Another
just
fan.
for you, sir. Game number 2. In the game, the players have to get their Xbox 360 avatars through increasingly difficult obstacle courses
James.
before... Oh,
damn it!
What is it?
No, I think I fucked it. Is it?
Let me know when I can buzz in.
You're queued
now.
up if you want, Kieran.
Shannon lost
Fuck.
I'm feeling.
It's like 2. Yeah, I don't know. Is it Connected Ventures?
It is
It's
not
not-
Connect Adventures.
No, it's the other
Kieran.
one.
Do you know what
Is
it
it Doritos Crash Course?
It is Doritos Crash Course. Well done, Kieran. It's a side-scrolling platform adva game developed by Wanaka Games for the 360. It was released as one of the finalists for the Unlock Xbox competition. Not a game I'd ever heard of
This
before.
is exciting.
Doritos
I
Crash
feel like
Course.
if Kieran wins now, it's going to be a showdown next week on 35 all.
Kieran now
done.
moved up to 4th place, tied with me on 28 points. Game number 3.
I feel like I've let my fan down.
I think they wanted to see you fail. Like,
Yeah.
I think you've
well then-
achieved what
well
Daniel
done,
set out to
Daniel
do.
Yeah. He's your Lex Luthor.
The game is presented from a third-person view overlooking 2 characters, moved individually by
Brody.
2 thumbsticks on 1 controller. Brody.
Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons.
That's it. Well done,
Yeah.
Brody.
Damn it, that means I have to
moves
host.
Yeah, I don't
That's
think
not
that
what I
was a
wanted.
good play. on
Don't
your
know.
behalf.
Yeah.
That's right.
What
I'm
a
just gonna-
shame.
I'm just going to pick you in games. I'm going to pick games released in the last year.
Just games I can guess immediately.
Apple
yeah.
Arcade exclusives.
Okay, so where that's left things, in case you needed a recap. Brody, now in first place on 36 points. James just one behind on 35. Shannon in third on 31 points. Myself and Kieran tied in 4th place on 28 points. Harry and James W on 1 point in 5th place. Cool. There we go.
There's a
Interested
weird
to see
mood after
what
that. I don't know
happens
what it is,
next
but
week.
It's regret on my part. I didn't think
Yeah.
about it. I got too excited.
There's a nervousness to it. I love it. With that, let's bring an end to what was this week's episode of the Press Start podcast. Once again, brought to you today by SteelSeries and their new range of Alias microphones. Subscribe to us on Listener or the podcast service of your choice. Follow us at press.au and visit the site at pressstart.com.au. We've been joined today by Kieran.
Yeah, you can find me on X at #_BRAUN.
James.
Yeah, you can find me on Exit at James ATJAMZ.
Shannon.
Yes, you can find me anywhere at Shannon Grixty.
And Brody.
Thank you. You can follow me on most things at Brody_DG.
And I've been your host, Ewan Roxburgh. You can follow me on socials at Ewan_Roxburgh. Thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, happy gaming.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.